So there's another video in my car. Again, I have some time in between, you know, work and whatnot. So there was this one video I kind of wanted to do some commentary on. I didn't have time to sit down and record anything. But now I do, because we're here. And so the video, and I'm going to play the video and I'm going to play the response too. I'm just going to use BASSFZz video because it's in front of me and easily accessible. And I don't know who the original TikTok creator is anyway. But I'm going to play this. So the first part is the original video I want to talk about. The second part is the context added to, which will add further to the points that I'm making. And we're going to take it all from there. So without further ado, she shall take us away. And there we are.
They were in high school. When the nerd came up to the girl in high school, she was like, no, I want you. And then when she became a baby mama, he was a CEO, executive, and all that. And she's like, hey, you remember me? He said, no, I want you. I be feeling like, respectfully, y'all is the grown-up versions of the niggas that got hurt in high school while we was out fucking with the drug dealers. Let me tell you something. We were victims then making horrible-ass decisions with grown-ass niggas preying on us. Y'all gotta let that shit go.
She sat here and claimed victim, oh, we were messing with drug dealers and older men and scammers and all this other shit, and the good guys are just supposed to let it go. Forgive us, let it go, even though we have children with these men, right? As young black men in high school, even it starts off really in middle school. In middle school, you're in 8th grade. The girls are talking to the freshmen, maybe even a sophomore at the high school. So when you're in middle school, they're talking to high schoolers. And when you're in high school, you become like a sophomore, junior, senior. They're talking to grown men outside of schools. So not only are you competing with guys your age, you're competing with grown men. Men that got cars, money, jobs, and you're in high school broke. I had a girl I used to deal with back in high school. I'm like 16, 17, dealing with her. And she ends up cheating on me with a grown man. So mind you, she used to call me broke when we got into it. Mind you, I'm 16, 17 years old. I'm supposed to be broke. But she wants to have the now. It's all about being patient, right? A lot of these girls aren't patient. So she's dealing with a guy that he sells drugs, you know what I'm saying? Ends up getting arrested for drugs. Thank God. But he has a Porsche. He used to pick her up in a nice Porsche. Mind you, I'm 16, 17, playing 3 sports a year. No job, no nothing. I can't work. There's no way for me to make money because I don't have time. I'm a student. But they end up choosing those type of guys or getting pregnant by those guys or even getting fucked over by those guys. And then later on, by the time we're 30, 40, they finally want to come with the guy that has a nice 9-to-5, fears God and has great character. But they want people to forget those type of things, and that's a no-no. Why should a man that you passed up on forget that? Or even give you the time of day now? When he put in the work to be who he was, but when he was nothing, on the come up, you passed on him for the guy that had it at the now.
And so, that's a very interesting clip. So now that you have context and now that you've heard the response, what I'm going to do is I'm going to break this into 2 sections. And so to focus in on what the lady was saying, to add context and to have an interesting conversation on what she said, I'm going to play it back and we're going to just address that first from how I feel about it. And then we're going to play the other clip again to denote part 2 of the response that the male had. I can't call him a young man. I don't know how old he is. We're going to play that part 2 and have that added context. And that will deviate part 2, right? So let's play this again so we know what we're focused on what she said here. Because I have a take on it that some of y'all people, you might be shocked by. So there you go.
They were in high school. When the nerd came up to the girl in high school, she was like, no, I want you. And then when she became a baby mama, he was a CEO, executive, and all that. And she's like, hey, you remember me? He said, no, I want you. I be feeling like, respectfully, y'all is the grown-up versions of the niggas that got hurt in high school while we was out fucking with the drug dealers. Let me tell you something. We were victims then making horrible-ass decisions with grown-ass niggas preying on us. Y'all gotta let that shit go.
So I want to preface by saying, I actually think she has a point. And why has a point, I don't mean the idea of letting it go. We'll get to it. But she has a point insofar as most people would analyze that a young lady in high school, and I think this is pretty consistent because I think lots of people keep saying this. It is very consistent that there are young ladies who are having sex with and having pseudo relationships. You can't really, statutory rape laws and all that. having pseudo relationships, or relationships with men that are outside of high school or in college or even senior to freshman. There's that discrepancy. And the discrepancy makes sense. It's hilariously ironic insofar as we have feminism trying to make men and women equal, and yet women still seek out males who are superior to them in some particular way. As such, the reason why there's always, I say always, not always, but there's a general trend of age discrepancy between men and women is because women typically, like resources from men, and they like things from men. They like getting stuff from men. The main form of courtship from a man is to prove himself worthy through the things that he has accrued or his ability to accrue things. That's just if I were an alien looking at the human species and trying to determine how they operate, that's what we would just come to, unfortunately, for better or for worse. Of course, humans are more complex than that, right? But general trends are, for the most part, young ladies typically date men who are older than them because they have more things and women want things. It's just what it is. Now, does this mean that there is no woman in the history of time and space that, dates a man that's younger and she takes care of him? Of course, flippin' not. The question isn't whether something can happen, it's the probability and the consistency of it occurring. When it comes to human psychology, again, it's not about, human psychology is not a law so far as we understand gravity. I dropped my other cell phone, the force of gravity will pull it down. It's not, human psychology is not that consistent. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only change its form. The first law of thermodynamics. We can attempt our best to try to break that law, but most people find consistently it doesn't happen. That's just life. That's what it is, right? So you have to understand, when you get to something that's mostly true, you're looking for consistency. Now, this is extremely important because I'm building the groundwork, and I'm saying all this stuff. It might sound like I'm going off the beaten path. I'm not. I'm saying all this so you guys understand that the experiences that lots of people are having, there are consistencies in it. It may not be 100% all the time. For example, some guy, the first year he went into high school, let's say he found his girlfriend in his AP geometry class, and they've been together for 10 years. That can happen. You know what I'm saying? However, is that experience consistent? So your experience, you found your wife in your AP geometry class and you never had an argument with her the entire time you've known her. Sure, that can happen, 100%. It's not outside the realm of possibility, but it's not what's possible, it's what's probable. Is that what consistently happens with young men? Absolutely not. As such, when it comes to young ladies, why is it again that we see this discrepancy with age, or with females in high school trying to date men that are slightly older than them? Again, those guys typically have more, even if it's more experience. So even just flirting with them is more fun, because like if you're a little bit older, you've talked to more women and you failed and you've adapted, it's more fun from the woman's point of view. She doesn't really have to interact with that side of things because she's the receiver, she's the recipient, which will become important later in the video. So, don't worry, we're gonna get to it. But it's more fun for the woman. There's more she can get. There's more, and again, just from the fun part, not even just necessarily the materialism. Men with more experience talking to women and flirting with women and understanding them would just be a more pleasant experience, because this doesn't have to be awkward. You don't have to just sit there and twiddle your thumbs. And if you're a woman and you want to be entertained, not even value judgment at this point, but just, practically, this is all reasonable. It's not unreasonable. The problem, however, and this is my issue, because I don't think the woman is wrong on the front side, on the start, insofar as there are ladies or girls who are dating men that are older, right? It's that, one, we would consider them to be victims of like statutory rape and all of that. But two, and this is the real issue is that that's almost kind of okay, except we live in modernity. So what does that mean? I'm burying the lead. What that means is that if the degeneracy levels was as far as the guy might have cheated on her by kissing another girl or flirting with another girl, then it's a misstep, it's a learning experience, he's a bad boy, life goes on, that sucked, but there's no huge trauma. It's garbage. It's like an iCarly episode, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, it sucks, bro, it's trash, but you keep it pushing to the next episode. The issue is that when these ladies are dating, sometimes drug dealers, or when they're dating, sometimes just abusive guys, because that happened actually, personal experience. Well, I was on the orbit of such, I wasn't deep friends and deep in the knowledge of this until after the fact. There were guys who would hit the ladies, right? Who would hit their girlfriends. There are guys who would, when they cheated, it was sex, like straight up, like, what I'm saying, and impregnate the girl in high school, you know what I'm saying? That happened, real life. It's that a lot of women, when it comes to their relationships in high school, is that they're trying to do high level it's high level problem solving with dire physical consequences. They're playing a very dangerous game, quite literally with their body, right? With pregnancy and with the mental, physical, nervous system trauma, right? Because your nervous system in and of itself can experience trauma. For as much as you can map on new skills and new reflexes with your nervous system, you can map on trauma. You can map on the wrong different types of conditioning that receive a response. This is what it means to be triggered, by the way. Your nervous system has a trauma or an understanding of something that could happen, and it's trying to protect itself. That's why you feel anxiety and fear and hesitation when you encounter something that scares you. It's your body's response is, do not engage, stop, don't do this thing. As such, the same thing happens with like sex and relationships, right? Where you could get a do not engage, you can mix awful nastiness and trauma with sexual pleasure. And a lot of people don't recognize that this can occur. And it's more complex than this, and most people don't have studies and stuff, but just through my own experience and just existing through life, I've come to understand and combine my knowledge of your nervous system, a whole bunch of bullshit. But the truth is, what happens with these young ladies is that they can get the wrong type of conditioning and the wrong type, well, obviously it's no good type of trauma. They can get trauma from these relationships, It's that when they're doing this and they're behaving in this way, they pull out they don't become better people. Let's just keep it a buck. Right? Dealing with men, and obviously, because again, you would consider them to be victims of statutory rape. So it would make sense that it is not really for their edification to date men that are a good bit older than them. For as much as it might make sense that, again, older men have more experience, more things, know more things, you know what I'm saying? It makes sense. That doesn't mean that it's good for the young lady to do that. However, they still participate. And so I think that the woman is right that these women who experience this, it's not good for them. They don't get anything good out of it. Well, I don't think they really, for the most part, they don't really seem to get, they seem to get on the front end, obviously, the pleasures of sex, on the front end, the pleasures of materialism, but on the back end, they end up traumatized, upset, and having a disdain and outright hatred sometimes of men, particularly with black women, black men. Not all black women. Black women, to be fair, black women still overwhelmingly prefer to be with black men, but there are a subsect of black women that honestly operate with nigga or bust. Either the only black man that exists is a nigga. I am null and void. I don't count as a black man. Those type of black women is nigga in jail, nigga in the street, or nothing. That's how they operate. There's some black women that operate like that. And why? Because that's their framework. That's their trauma. That's the only thing their nervous system literally physically responds to and activates towards, sexual reproduction. It's very complex and very interesting. We might talk about this some other time. May need to have to. Point is, right, when that happens, again, it makes sense that you would say something awful did happen to that woman. Okay? Something terrible happened to that woman. And that's true, and that's fair. So here's the thing that becomes interesting. Okay? For as much as I can acknowledge that, and I respect that, and understand that, the issue is that because they played that dangerous game, everyone else suffers. The men on the back end, the cleanup man, so to speak, and you can see in the comment section, you might even see it on this video, there's a lot of men that went through life not being low down. And so ladies, unfortunately, perhaps in their ignorance or, lack of wisdom, whatever the flipping reason is, they don't have the foresight to, or obviously again, lack of wisdom. They don't have the foresight, they don't have the wisdom to kind of recognize there's a whole problem going on here, and that, they're making life worse for themselves, and they're going to make life worse for people in the future too, their children and any man that they're going to date. You know what I'm saying? So here's the problem. For as much as I understand that, there's a really big problem with the second half of the sentiment. And that second half of the sentiment is that older men should forgive or let go of that folly from younger ladies. And again, there's a point up to a certain threshold. As in, should you resent the women who got put through that grinder, who put themselves, really, because even though they are young, they still chose those men, and we'll get to it. Is it true that you shouldn't carry that disdain and that bitterness through your life? Absolutely, that's true. And absolutely, you shouldn't be angry about it forever. That's true. Here's the problem. Here's the threshold. The threshold is, it doesn't matter if you are bitter, and it doesn't matter if you're angry and you have resentment. It doesn't matter. It matters on the individual personal level, for your soul, for your ability to exist in life. That matters. It doesn't matter towards the woman. Why? Because if she still has that trauma and those negative experiences, then your forgiveness of her doesn't change how she might treat you. It doesn't change that she might look at you with disdain and disregard because you're a nice person. She might look at you as you're weak. She might look at you as a mark. It doesn't change that she might feel unworthy of love, compassion, care, and she wants to recreate nasty, traumatic situations, and so she tries to make you suffer. That's a part of the red pill people don't talk about. People don't talk about the fact that there's a lot of women who don't like kindness, they're terrified of men being kind. They're terrified of men treating them well. Their brains can't compute. Their brains can't process. It's like, why are you nice to me? What's going on? You're going to betray me at some point. So I'd rather someone than me, I know he's toxic and shitty, I know he's bad, so I'm going to go over here, than the good person betraying me later. That's what they choose. Again, on the red pill, we talk about simps all the motherfucking time. We talk about Chad all the motherfucking time. We talk about, hypergamy all the motherfucking time. We don't talk about that some women can have such low self-esteem, such trauma, such disdain for themselves, that kindness terrifies them. And so when it comes to that, you can't date that woman. It's not that she's a bad person. It's not that she's cruel. It's not that she'll be wicked, but she won't accept or receive a healthy relationship. She can't do it. She can't do it. Some of them will then try to recreate trauma and nastiness. It cannot function on that point. And that's what's important. It's not about whether or not, again, you let it go as a man and you accept that she is indeed a victim, that she is indeed suffering, that she is indeed, obviously by her own hand in the hands of a shitty nigga. Fair enough, but it doesn't matter. Like that, you can't date that woman. And that's an extremely important part that always gets missed. It's true. It makes sense. And so from here, let's move on to part 2, the second half. So let's play the response, because it is extremely important. So we're going to play that part, and then we're going to pick it back up.
Hearing claimed victim, oh, we were messing with drug dealers and older men and scammers and all this other shit, and the good guys are just supposed to let it go. Forgive us, let it go, even though we have children with these men, right? As young black men in high school, even it starts off really in middle school. In middle school, you're in 8th grade. The girls are talking to the freshmen, maybe even a sophomore at the high school. So when you're in middle school, they're talking to high schoolers. And when you're in high school, you become like a sophomore, junior, senior. They're talking to grown men outside of schools. So not only are you competing with guys your age, you're competing with grown men. men that got cars, money, jobs, and you're in high school broke. I had a girl I used to deal with back in high school. I'm like 16, 17, dealing with her, and she ends up cheating on me with a grown man. So, mind you, she used to call me broke when we got into it. Mind you, I'm 16, 17 years old. I'm supposed to be broke. But she wants to have that now. It's all about being patient, right? A lot of these girls aren't patient. So she's dealing with a guy that he sells drugs, you know what I'm saying? Ends up getting arrested for drugs. Thank God. But he has a Porsche. He used to pick her up in a nice Porsche. Mind you, I'm 16, 17, playing 3 sports a year, no job, no nothing. I can't work. There's no way for me to make money because I don't have time. I'm a student. But they end up choosing those type of guys or getting pregnant by those guys or even getting fucked over by those guys. And then later on, by the time we're 30, 40, they finally want to come with the guy that has a nice 9 to 5, fears God and has great character. But they want people to forget those type of things, and that's a no-no.
Here we are. So, it's true that these ladies pick these men. And it's true that these women desire these men. There's something that gets missed, that women don't have a lot of empathy for men. And it shows with the fact that she said what she said. Because again, I can see her point, but the threshold is you are not understanding a lifetime of having to be rejected and then settled for by someone who still doesn't like you. As a woman, most women, don't get me wrong, some women live that life. Don't, to be fair, some women do. Overwhelmingly more men live that life. That's the thing. And that's what it means to be masculine and what it means to be feminine. It doesn't mean that one side doesn't experience some shit. It's just which side experiences the shit more. Which side has the thing more. Unfortunately, the masculine experience is what happens more with males, is that there's a lifetime, if you are not just handsome, and if you're not just toxic and uncaring, is one or the other, sometimes all two at the same time. If you're just an alright motherfucker, just normal, to a dweeb, to an alright, you're just alright, you know what I'm saying? You're not too ugly, you're not too fat, you're just alright. You can very easily have a tough time having a relationship with a woman. Easily. There is a lot of trial and error. There's a lot of trying and trying and trying and trying and trying and trying and trying. And just dust and ash in your mouth. You know what I'm saying? Parched. You know what I'm saying? It's, water. I need some water. It's easy. It's easy. And let me tell you something interesting. You can be a handsome man and still be frustrated with how tough it is to have relationships with women. Yeah, you can. You can get that. They can get mad. Chad can get mad. Tyrone can get mad. You know what I'm saying? They can experience it too. A lot of women, they really don't stop to understand that they are one half of humanity. That they're one half of the experience. And this is their part of their half of the experience. Where they don't stop and they don't really look at these dweebs and look at these educated lames and look at these tortoises where slow and steady won the race. And they don't look the trauma and look the rejection in the face and even begin to care to apologize or come to terms with the fact that they did disregard these men, and these men as human beings have a lifetime of being disregarded. They have a lifetime of resentment. They have a lifetime of trying to be good, and it gets them dick and all from young ladies. And women do not come to terms with and address and look these men in the, they'll tell men until they're blue in the face, keep trying, cut your hair, smell nice, you know what I'm saying, get a hobby, get a personality, go get other male friends first. They'll tell you, keep going, and maybe after you've kept going, you know, you might find some motherfucker at the supermarket, maybe, I don't know, someone at the gym, something, I don't know, you know what I'm saying. But that's a lifetime of being mistreated, a lifetime of disregard, a lifetime of being picked over. And women don't stop and understand that, listen, you can't look at people like that after 10 to 15, 20 years sometimes of an entire life, 2/3 of their life, and then say, get over it, nigga. Listen, ladies, y'all motherfuckers don't get over the fact that a nigga could have a War Greymon fucking toy on his bookshelf. You know what I'm saying? Y'all don't get over War Greymon. Y'all don't even know who War Greymon is. You know what I'm saying? You don't even care to like really take a moment and listen to the stories that make this man who he is and why he is the way he is. Y'all, I've got to tell you, the amount of times I've seen or read or listened to a TikTok of a woman complaining about her husband. Why does he love video games so much? Because they're fun. It's very simple. There's a story. There's a meaning. There's a competition. There's something that can be overcome and challenged and faced. And men enjoy that. A lot of women don't get that. A lot of ladies don't understand men as humans. And as a human, when you say something like that, we go back to the front end, men will reply. Like the guy said he got cheated on for a dude that sold drugs. That's his life experience. As a woman, you actually need to go face to face and toe to toe, and not just say, "Well, his ex was a victim of statutory rape and whatnot." As you know, that's probably true. Actually, if they had sex, fair enough, that's true. But it's not actually addressing or coming to terms with the trauma he's facing on his end. Because it's true that the young lady, again, probably found herself in some sticky and nasty, stupid ass situations that she never needed to be in. But what the man or the male sees on that end is being a terrible nigga is going to get you very far. As a woman, you have to dispel that. Now, you can't if you're a 30-year-old woman and you have 2 kids and the niggas who got far and gave you those 2 kids smoke weed, can't hold a job, you know what I'm saying, don't pay child support. You can't dispel that because that's you. But you have to come to terms and say, yes, you guys are right. And there's a balance in the world where we have to meet in the middle, where young men, they see this. They're human beings. They're people who've lived an entire life seeing this. Not every man, obviously. Life is complex. Some niggas are just, you know, they don't ever worry. They've never struggled. They've never had a challenge. Fair enough. They exist. We're not talking about them. We're talking about overwhelmingly, because somehow our birth rate's going down, motherfucker. Somehow, overwhelmingly, men keep saying the same shit to each other. Niggas from motherfucking Florida to California somehow have the same notes. So something happening, you know what I'm saying? Motherfuckers in Wyoming, niggas in New York somehow agree. So something's going on. There's an experience that's happening that young men keep seeing with young women. And young women, and sometimes, you know, 30's not old, but that 30 range, right, of like late adulthood, so to speak, we'll call it that, because, you know, that's kind of the time you really get career and start earning money and try to own homes and all that. They're not addressing and accepting that they have a hand to play in this bitterness and this resentment. Not every woman. Like, listen, if you're a lady and you sat in the back of the classroom, you know what I'm saying, you painted your hair green, you like, no one ever talked to me, then we're not talking about you, right? You know what I'm saying? And you deserve to be discussed, but, you know, you're not one of those women. So you can't come to bat for Teen Woman. Because the young man in the video we saw, that's his life. That's real. That's what he experienced. You know what I'm saying? So, and the reason why I preface this is because I see there's lots of people that want to defend Teen Woman. You can't defend Teen Woman. Teen Woman is stupid. In the same way you can't defend Teen Man. Men and women aren't enemies. You know what I'm saying? But they are bouncing off of each other and causing each other trauma. And we both remember this. There's a very important point that my main man made. And that is, as males, we have to compete with men who are older than us. We have to compete with older generations with more stuff. It's unreasonable. And it's true that not every woman wants a dude that's older than her. That's just true. And it's true that not every woman wants a guy, you know what I'm saying, who's a dope boy. That's true. That's just true. And it's true that not every woman wants a guy that has the money now and a fast life. That's just true. Like, they exist. That's just true. For as much as that is true, ladies, you must also accept what is true, is that there are a lot of women that have higher expectations, even if it isn't dope boys, You guys in high school all wanted the same motherfucker. In college, you want the same motherfucker. Guess what? At work, y'all want the same motherfucker. All this drama y'all niggas have to get the same one nigga, the same one motherfucker. You have to accept that men are seeing this and they're experiencing this. So you can't just tell them, get over it. What do you mean, get over what, motherfucker? Like, just accept that I'm supposed to grind for 20 years while you accrue trauma. And at the end of a lifetime, well, the beginning of a lifetime, really, of you accruing trauma, of you accruing debt, of you accruing resentment, of you not liking me, after all of that, now I'm supposed to come and somehow have a relationship with you. It can't be done. Not because you're a terrible person, because you don't like men. You don't like us. You don't even like us. You're upset about someone we also don't like. We don't like most men, we don't like abusive guys. We don't like drug dealers. We don't like shitty dudes that don't respect your boundaries. We don't care for these niggas. We would run it back with these men if we could. Every opportunity, think about it, all the videos on the internet, every opportunity of niggas to run the ones with men who act like that, they take. Maybe not in New York. Y'all niggas suck. But but you understand the point I'm making, hopefully. Most men are not fond of this behavior. So it isn't that this isn't how most of us want the world to be. So the point of this video is to say there's truth in both sides here. And we do have to come together as two halves of humanity and accept each other. Because it's true that as young men, you know, we can't keep that trauma in our hearts, because you can become Myron Gaines pretty easily. You can become Harvey Weinstein pretty easily. You can become Stephen Bonnell Destiny pretty easily. What does that mean? You can live a life of being rejected by women, and then when you get success with them, you just mistreat them. That resentment and bitterness doesn't go away. Now you have power, and now you just hurt them. Now the worst part is, because in the Me Too era, that bitterness you had to hurt those women, they can come back and then expose you later. Very important to consider. But the point is, more to the point of this video, that resentment doesn't go away. And when you apply power to a man who has been harmed by women emotionally for very many years, it's very easy for them to legitimately become a misogynist and then hate women and hurt them. That's true. As a lady, you have to accept that you're the other half of humanity. And some of your actions contributed to that. That doesn't mean that you have to go and smash every dweeb you see. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is that you can't be flippant and you can't jerk your hand in what got us here. Now, it's not every woman. Obviously, don't defend Team Woman. But the fact is, some of these women picked drug dealers. And they had kids with them. They did. Some of these women went back to cheaters because they were handsome. Because they made them orgasm. They did. They did. And they picked over men who were good to them, who were kind to them, who were sweet to them, that they called lame, they called weird, had no regard, no disdain. It's very hilarious that ladies can say, let go of my trauma. Let go of your bitterness. Let go of your resentment. But they can't let go of that Naruto manga on the bookshelf. You know what I'm saying? It took a long time for us to not be weird for liking Naruto. Y'all didn't let go of that. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of icks and goofiness and quick disregard for males that women participate in. But there's no empathy to see how preposterous it is to ask men to accept that trauma and that disdain and that disregard given to them for 20 years of their life. Can't be done. It's not fair to ask for a cleanup man. It's not fair to live the life you lived and then say, I still deserve a good man. It's not fair to that man. And most women, I'm going to be honest with you, you guys don't stop and really ask, what would it be like to date me? What would it be like to have these 2 kids with this man I dislike? I keep saying I hate men. I keep saying I can't stand men. I keep saying I can't take them. I keep being mad. I'm angry. What would that life be like for someone trying to have a relationship with you? And that's a tough thing to come to terms with. I'm not saying you're not going to, face it overnight. But you have to take a moment and really take a deep breath and say, yeah, I did contribute to this. So how am I going to change it? And I'm telling you, you're not going to change it by just telling men to get over it. That's 15, 10, 15, 20 years of being picked over, only to end up with a woman who still doesn't actually like him. Her spirit is broken by trauma. Is that really fair? I want you to honestly, if you're a lady and you've made it this far in the video, I know it's a long ass video, you probably didn't, but if you did, with sincerity, is that legitimately a fair ask to all of these men who didn't sell drugs, who focused on their careers, who respected you and tried their damnedest to be an all right man, not a perfect man, but a good man? Is it fair that at the end of that lifetime, you tell them, get over it, date me, even though I didn't do the work, I didn't respect you, I don't even respect you now. I think that you should still just care about me. I'm not even going to affirm your trauma. I'm not even going to try to be a better woman for you. I'm not even going to try. Do you think legitimately that that's fair? Because if you do, my friend, I have to say this sincerely and genuinely. You're out your fucking mind. You're out your mind. Whether it's fair or not fair, you might even just say life's not fair. But you have to, at some point, respect this. I'm going to leave you with this. If you don't take anything out, take this. Men are people. We have a brain like you have a brain. We have memories like you have a memory. And we have resentment and frustrations like you have resentment and frustration. If you want to make the world a better place, at a certain point, you have to stop and affirm the humanity of all of these men and the lives that they lived. These men aren't perfect. I'm not saying they are. But they're humans. And they're the other half of your species. And you have to respect that at some point. Otherwise, we all just gonna keep suffering. So that being said, look, man, I assume you guys got something out of today's video. I really do. And if you did, I don't know, man, go and click the like button. Shoot, go and click the subscribe button. Comment in the comment box below. And as always, you guys have yourselves a great day. I will see you cool cats soon.